Hello friends, Del Ballou here. I'm back today with a book review on another of my books. This one is entitled The UNdiet book, and it features the Live It plan. And let me just say right off the bat, this is not your mother's diet book. And it's probably not like anything much you'll ever read or think about. But my feeling is that America has become obsessed with food. And being obsessed with food comes the obsession with diets, and that is how to get the weight off that we've put on. So I hope you will view this as a book that could set you free. And that's just plain and simple. So I'm going to begin by reading for you what is on the back of this book. And I begin with Matthew 6:25a. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat, or what you shall drink. In the 21st century, there are more plans and programs to lose weight than any century in history, and more ways to access them. Even with all of those, America is still the most obese nation, and now the number of children who are obese is growing rapidly. If these programs worked, we would be a nation of slim, healthy people. Certainly the diet, food, vitamin, and exercise industry is getting fat from our futile attempts to shed pounds and get more fit and healthy. The only conclusion that we can come to is that none of them work in the long run. If they did, we would not be obese. By the way, one only has to be 20 pounds overweight to be considered obese. Being obese carries more than the possibility of getting diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure. It brings a string of psychological maladies. In the UNdiet book, I attack the problem from a need to be honest about false expectations and lies about our food needs, and get on with a healthy approach to food and life. I call this plan the Live It plan. The plan consists of age-old wisdom that is intended to set us free from the bondage of diets and exercise plans that waste billions of hard-earned dollars. Check it out and lose those chains. Give yourself permission to live. Now, here's a good point and a point with which I will begin this book review. And I quote again from the back of the book. Check it out and lose those chains. Notice I don't say and lose those pounds, though I suspect losing pounds is going to be an after effect of getting your mind loosed from the chains of the obsession with food, and not only eating it, but not eating it, or eating certain foods and only certain foods. There are more commercial ways for businesses to make money off of you, and that's what you need to know about all of that. Because if you've lived as long as I have, and I know most of you haven't, not many people have, but if you've lived long enough, you know that what might be good for you in one generation won't be good for you in the next. It used to be that potatoes were bad for you, and then wait a few years and potatoes are good for you. bacon, I don't guess bacon's ever really been good for you, but bacon has had its highs and lows. And let's talk about eggs. Eggs used to be really good for you for the protein and for just whole food, but then they went into disfavor as well. Now we have gluten-free stuff, which is interesting to me, and I'm not a scientist, so I can't get into the whys and wherefores of this, but if gluten is in wheat, and we were told over some periods of time that wheat bread might be better for you than white bread, so now we're even counteracting those things. Now, again, I'm not a scientist, don't claim to be, and don't want to be for that matter. But the one thing that I can count on when I get together with more than two people, the subject of food is going to be introduced, and usually not just what we like or recipes, but more particularly what diet somebody is on. And I just reject those conversations. They are so meaningless because even diet plans have fads. Diet and exercise videos come and go. Exercise programs that are advertised, and the diet and exercise gurus have created lots of money, by the way, on those videos. And maybe they work. And I would say most diets and exercise plans do work to a limited degree. But just as soon as you've lost 20 pounds, you go off the diet or you quit the exercise program, which you're bound to do anyway, because usually they're just boring and very restrictive. But just as soon as you go off of those, and I think you can probably all testify to at least one experience in which you've lost some weight and then quit the diet and the weight came right back on. I know I have my own experiences that I could share with you. But the idea, the concept behind this book, the UNdiet book, is to help people take a very logical, even scriptural look at the place that food and exercise have in our lives and the benefit to food in our body, but more particularly to help you just be loosed from constantly thinking about food. And I'm just as guilty as everyone I'm talking to about doing this to greater and lesser degrees over my adult years, which is why I think I can be an authority on this subject. But many of you have probably experienced having dinner or having lunch at work, perhaps sitting around with your coworkers, having your salad, talking about what you're going to have for dinner, at least thinking about what's the next meal going to be. And we are either preparing meals, eating meals, thinking about meals, or regretting the meals that we have eaten, especially if those meals over time have been the result of a 20-pound overweight body that we're living in. I have had times in my life where I hated my body, especially the tummy, the parts of me that were larger than I wanted them to be. But I try to bring this all together and give us a healthy scriptural way to look at food and even to look at exercise. And we have valuable time on this earth and really so little of it in conjunction with forever. And we really should be spending more of our time um, expanding our minds and our hearts and living in peace. And by the way, enjoying that food rather than thinking while you're eating that you feel guilty because you shouldn't have had that piece of chocolate pie for dessert at lunch. So now you're going to deprive yourself at dinner. So let's look at the things that we should and could think about and talk about in regard to food. And the Live It plan should be explanatory. Diets have die in them. And I think when you go on a diet, especially if it's a weight loss diet, and one that has behind it the pain, the hurt, the bondage of having gained weight that you didn't want to gain, but you just can't seem to help yourself. So in this respect, I want to say that the Live It plan um, may, for a couple of weeks, be difficult to adjust to, but your body will demand what you have put into it in the past. Um, if you've been feeding your body on a regular basis, more regular than the 3 meals a day, then your body's going to keep demanding it. And inadvertently, the demand for the food, relinquishing your peace of mind to a piece of chocolate pie, is more than likely going to result in some inner turmoil, and that inner turmoil in effect is affecting your mind, which is affecting your body, and your body is not even using the food that you've given it, whether it's a piece of chocolate pie or a gluten-free whole grain cereal you had for breakfast. And all of these things, and I do realize I'm kind of going on here, and I'm contributing to the the sort of obsession with food and talking about food. So let's just get free, mentally free, because once we take control of our minds will teach our bodies what to enjoy and what not to. And I'm not talking about what's good for you, what's healthy, or what's gluten-free or fat-free or low carb. Those words I don't think you're going to find in this book. But it's not a very big book. Let me see how many pages it has. 73 pages. And the print's fairly large. And it's easy read. And hey, after you read it, if you don't agree with me, just put it away. Pass it on to somebody who might want to read it. But I'm telling you, it'll set you free. So for now, I'm going to say once again, thank you for joining me. And you can find this book on my website, www.delballou.com, and you'll see that elsewhere on this video in case you need to know how to spell my name correctly. And it's also available on Amazon in paper book and ebook format. And I suspect the ebook is only 99 cents. And you can get it immediately, no shipping charges, and small price to pay for being set free. So today, be free. And we'll talk again later. See ya. Bye.